Welcome back to the YouTube channel Next in Line. Today in this video we're going to be talking about gluing the fletchings onto our arrows. In the last video we talked about cutting our fletchings out and getting them ready to be glued on. I'm going to be using masking tape to measure the circumference of my arrow and to figure out where my fletchings need to go. Make sure that the end of your tape is square, and also when you take the bottom of your tape off that it's square. You're going to take the edge of this tape, which is right here. You're going to put it on your arrow, and then when you wrap it, you're going to figure out where this tape meets the edge that is already taped down. And I've already marked it, but it's right there, and so then you're going to take that off and divide whatever that length is by 3. I'm just going to tape where I put my mark on that millimeter centimeter line. And I see that it's going to 26. So I'm going to take out my calculator and just divide 26 by 3. So I'm just going to go to the 8, which is right here. And then I'm going to go most of the way between the 8 and the 9 because it's 8.6. And make a line, and then I'm going to do that again. Put that there, and then I'll go to 8.6. Right there. And that's where you're going to put your, that's where you'll put your fletchings. I'm going to cut this extra tape off just so it doesn't get in the way as I'm figuring out where my fletchings need to go. And you're just going to put your fletchings at each of these 3 marks on your shaft. Okay. When you're lining up your tick marks, you want to put one of them in the center of where your nock is, so to the side of that in the center. And that, usually that'll be what's called your cock feather or your opposite colored feather. So I have 2 blues and a yellow, so that's where I will put my yellow one. And that just helps to, so it doesn't get taken off on your bow riser. Something to keep in mind is that your shaft is barrel tapered, or at least mine is. And so if you measure down here with the tape and then move it up here, you'll have to remeasure because it's gonna be a different circumference. Once I have that measurement down with the 3 tick marks, I'm just gonna mark it on the actual shaft on where I want these fletchings to go. I'm using this NPV AeroMate cement, and I've been really impressed with how it performs. It does really well. But also, if I were to redo this again, I probably would have got fletching tape. I think that is just a lot easier to work with. So I'll put a link in the description where you can buy this, and it does work good. And I'll also include some fletching tape, which I think is easier to work with. I just moved home from college, and so I don't have the fletchings that I made, so I'm just going to use some store-bought ones for the purpose of this video. So remember, when you're gluing your fletchings on, they all need to be right wing or left wing. Don't mix right wing and left wing. And I just put my fletching in my door hinge. And if you want to buy a feather clamp, you can. So when you do it, just put the glue on where the door hinge is. Don't worry about getting it on this. We'll go back and re-glue this later. And you'll want to get a good, healthy stream of glue on it. Like I said before, if I were to redo this, I'd probably buy fletching glue or fletching tape. It's a lot easier to work with. So once you get this part glued down and then it dries, you can go back and glue down this little tail. So just sneak the glue under there. and put glue on it. This is also where you can add a helical to it if you want. And so it's gonna have a natural curve to it because it's, if it's a right wing feather or left wing feather, it'll have that natural curve. And so I just use that curve to my advantage, and I just press down and allow that curve to kind of run its course. But I do straighten it out a little bit. And then when I do the other ones, I just try to match the curve that the first one has. Once you get it about where you want it, you can put the arrow or the door hinge on it, and that'll just help to push it down evenly. So now I'm just going to wrap the bottom of these with thread, and it's just sewing thread. That's just to secure them in place and to help them not to come off if they hit something when you're shooting them. So once I've got that wrapped, I'm just going to take my fletching glue. I'm just going to give it all a good coat. So just make sure that everything's got a good layer of glue on it and that it's saturating into the thread. And I don't even worry about tying off my thread, I just glue it in there and then cut it. Then you can do a better cutting of it once it dries. And then the next thing that I do is I wrap just below the arrow nock because it'll help stop the nock from splitting when you shoot it. And just do the same thing, just cut it at the ends. We have our finished arrow, so let's see how it shoots. And it does have this on then, because I'm just using it to shoot around at grouse. Don't forget to like and subscribe.